Gary, not our day yesterday as we went down by 18 points to the old rivals Williamstown in what could only be described as horrific conditions down at Point Jelly.
Look, I thought defensively for probably about the first 18 or 19 minutes, I didn't think we actually played all that bad, to be honest. And then we just allowed them to get probably 5 relatively simple goals. And then, of course, that creates momentum. It took us too long in the second quarter to really get our momentum back. I thought Williamstown was able to, from a stoppage point of view, cause a lot of restarts, and it all became obviously pretty messy. But I was pretty happy that our patience got rewarded late in the second quarter, and to go in only really a goal down wasn't too bad of an effort, considering we probably wasted a bit of that early goal time. And obviously missing shots, you know, Damien Mercedes, Blake Pearson. I know then they returned favour to us in that third by kicking 3 goals 11, but you know, our defensive stoppage work has been quite poor, and to allow Donnell to get a bit lively in that third, he took a few marks, and again, if it wasn't for inaccurate kicking, we probably could have been further behind. And then in the last quarter, we certainly jumped out of the blocks and we had a real lot of momentum. And then after poor old Tommy Hobbs's kick got sort of touched, you can argue a lot of different things about whether it was right or not. But subsequently from that point on, we just couldn't really hit the scoreboard enough. And then there was a few intermittent showers and things like that. So we just didn't play well enough in the big moments, I thought, Sammy, to be honest. Some of our players tend to fold a little bit when the heat's really on, and that's obviously disappointing because we certainly don't want that to happen. But I think at times too, we didn't use the ball the way we should have. And they're a strong side inside too, especially with Gibbons and Wheeler and Marcon and Meese. And overall, if you said you had to give it out of a 10, it was probably really about a 6 or 7. And of course, they can actually take some marks and forward, which then puts a little bit more heat on our defensive areas. And we couldn't take a mark really. And those 2 goals that they got into the breeze, I thought was really invaluable. 2 undisciplined acts. I think they were 2 goals as well. So there's 4 goals and we lost by 3.
When you arrive at the ground as you did yesterday, do any plans or processes that you might have had sorted for the opposition really go out the window, or is it just stripping it right back to basics for all the boys?
No, we did a fair bit of that on Friday night, I thought, and the way we selected with Waddell being omitted just purely and simply because of the conditions, and we thought we would need a little bit more run on the day, and that's primarily how it turned out. But we couldn't utilise those little, I think, moments in time, and especially in tight. You know, their midfield used their body positioning really, really well to try and take possession. We tend to want to use our hands more than anything else. There's probably a little bit of inexperience as well, and the bigger bodies. But no, it was all fairly fundamentally based, really, mate. Obviously how we played with it and obviously how we played into it. We had 15 inside 50s in the first quarter, but of course we couldn't score.
Worth mentioning Mac Rivette. He received acclaim from all angles for his game yesterday, including Williamstown in the aftermatch, and he's putting together a terrific year, isn't he? Do you want to maybe elaborate on the impact he's had on the group and on the club this season?
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank the Williamstown Footy Club, really. It's a great initiative. Yeah, very, very professional from their point of view, and it's a great initiative from an opposition. Obviously, we are VFL standalone teams as well, and we want to fly that flag, but the rivalry really is on the field. But, of course, off the field, it's about how each other goes about their business, and they seem to do it pretty well off field. Max just had a really, really good year, and there's no doubt it contributes to him having an outstanding pre-season, and certainly the way he's been able to play. And yesterday I thought was equal best game that he's played this year, and probably where he sits in our midfield, he's certainly forging his own time in there now. And he uses the ball pretty well. He's good around the clearances. He's a lot fitter, so he can spread a lot better. And outstanding in those conditions yesterday. And he led the way. And certainly, if we had another, probably a dozen or so of his type of attitude mentally and what he wants to do to try and contribute to winning, we may have got over the line. But it wasn't the case. And full credit to Williamstown yesterday.
So short turnaround for us now, basically 5.5 days with the early start at 11 a.m. at the Whitten Oval. We'll be kicking the dew off the ground before our clash with Footscray, and essentially a final spot is there for the taking for both sides. So a big game, and if we want to have a shot at our premiership defence, there's second chances now.
Well, you're right, and it really should be looked upon as our first final, and that's the way I'll be addressing it with the players. We've got to wrap up yesterday pretty quickly and move on to, obviously, Saturday morning, as you said. And really, it's going to come down to if we're good enough, we'll win. And if not, well, you know, it's basically pack your bags depending on what happens. So we've left ourselves a lot of work to do through a lot of things this year. And we've just got to, at the end of the season, whichever that may be, and hopefully that's a few weeks away, we'll just sit down and have a look at what we didn't do well and what we did do well. But certainly this week it's all about Footscray at 11 o'clock at Whitten Oval.
Gary, thanks for the time today, and all the best for this week.
Thanks, Sam.